Where do you think you're going? Um, he doesn't ever want to be in the videos anymore, seems like. Well, these pants are appropriate for for our movie, um, which is for Mickey. It's a biography of Disney, of Walt Disney, back when he was young, before he created Mickey Mouse. We get to see his life, see what led him to becoming a movie guy, a cartoon guy, and stuff like that. We get to, so for him to see him back in his heyday and see how hard it was really for him. Everybody was this everybody was just discouraging him and telling him, "You should not be doing this. This is cartoons are it's not the way for it's not a good career." Because back then it wasn't really. It was just something that was not this is past time. It wasn't as big it was nowadays since it was back in the 20s, back when cartoons was being created. Only ones that were out there was Felix the Cat, um, Popeye, um, and what's her name? Trying to remember. Betty Boop. Betty Boop. Those are like the only ones that were around at the time, and maybe a little bit other ones. But so he was it. Nobody ever was telling him you won't go so far in this, and he wasn't. He was working for the guy who was over at Universal. He was working for Universal. The guy who made Felix the Cat. He didn't do, but he made Oswald for them, and he had like a couple of people who were working for him. He had like four guys. One stays with him, and I think comes one like the nine old men, and the other three, um, because Oswald, the guy was just pretty much using Walt. He was just using him for his character, Oswald, and Alice, which is a live action of Alice, and they had actual girl who who they had play Alice, and then they would draw things around her, characters around her, and one is Pete, back when he's a baronet. I don't It really didn't show him doing. They had the cartoon, but they didn't say that was Pete. But you did research and knew stuff about about Disney's animations like I did before I watched this movie, you would know that Pete is actually older than Oswald and Mickey. He was made back in 1920, so he was part of he was part of Universal's helping. Actually, he made Pete made Pete and Alice before before he went into do Universal, but that thing went bankrupt. So he had to go to Universal to get a job, but Universal just wanted all five of them, to sign up and work for him. So that's what happened, and that's what happened. Um, with three of them, three of them went and signed up with Universal, and he took his animators, where one stayed with him. So, and those three men came and created the Looney Tunes. So I find it kind of weird. The guys who created the Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, basically worked for Walt Disney at a time. They helped Walt Disney do Oswald cartoons, and I did not know that until I watched this animation. And I find it cool that the people who created pretty much a lot of Looney Tunes, like Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and all the others, once worked for Disney. I don't I can probably look up their names, but I don't think you need. I don't. None of them. I don't think neither of them. None of them were Chuck Jones. These are the early guys who they did it back when they were still black and white. But it says at the end of the movie that's who they were. Um, and it shows that Rory, Walt's brother, he was like in some type of hospital or nursing home or something like that. There was something wrong with him. They really didn't say what was wrong with him, but he was after he stopped working for Universal because he didn't want to have to be controlled by somebody. He didn't want to have to listen to somebody else. He wanted to be in charge of what goes on with his artists and stuff like that. So even it meant for him being bankrupt and having no money again, he left. And he left Oswald behind too. Because even though he created it, even though he created the rabbit, he he was he was working for Universal at the time. So Oswald wasn't his anymore. And when I watched that, even before that, I found that weird that you create something that you even work for somebody. It's not yours. It belongs to that company. So he put all that work into those cartoons. He still got Pete. Maybe that's why Pete was different. Because in Oswald's, he was a dog. He's a dog, and now he's a cat. Maybe that's why they had to change all Pete because so many times because he was different. His different animals belonged to well, as a dog he belonged to Universal, so he had to change animals, I guess, in order to keep him. But he didn't get Oswald back until like he never did, but Disney did eventually Oswald back, because they were to use him in video games and stuff like that, and Epic Mickey. So at least it took a long time because we didn't see him again in Disney until like the 2000s, but that Oswald finally gets back to where he belongs in Disney's hands. But back to the movie, we see him with his wife that even though Elijah found his ways strange, she found him funny and stuff like that, and found him as a kid, see the kid in him, and she was able to relate with him with that. The fact she was even there to help him do stuff and stuff like that. Sometimes she drew, and sometimes she helped inspire him, help him keep going. She let him have a place to stay and stuff like that. Because he went back to go and stay with his parents for a while, and he decided, no, I'm gonna keep going, and keep trying to do this. And he convinced his brother to help him. and helping him out of the hospital that he was in or something like that. And they opened up their own company, the Disney Brothers. And they, at the very end of the movie, we see them together making Mickey. And we find out that I already knew this, but for people who don't know, Mickey's name, he wasn't always called Mickey. At the beginning, he won Disney wanted to call him Melman, something like that. Um, mm, Melmore, something like Metamore. Don't, no, it's not that. It's some type of weird name. I mean, I can get why his mom, his girlfriend or wife at the time wanted to get him to pick Mickey, because this name is the name that he had picked out for him would have been hard for kids to remember, and it kind of sounded like it didn't sound like friendly. It didn't sound like a friendly name at all. Either Mickey sounds a lot more friendly for the hero and stuff like that. They used that name later on, but I think he was just more of a rival who was always trying to steal Mickey Mouse, steal Minnie from him. So when I first saw this movie, I thought it'd be like something like where a bunch of other writers and artists would be saying how he came up and made Mickey and stuff like that. Instead, it was actual movie. It was kind of like the whole entire thing with the thing saving Mr. Banks, but we actually see what went through to had to deal with in order to see what the Disney that we know today as the hero and stuff like that. But he had to go through really hardships. He went like bankrupt 3 times, and he did not. But he did not give up. Out of what everybody was telling him, go and get a different job. This dream's not gonna get you anywhere. But he kept on surveilling, and if he did he what would animation be nowadays? We would have no movies, Disney, and cartoons and stuff like that. They would just be shorts. He have helped put animation in the bag, and I'm a Disney fanatic, so I'm grateful that he did not give up and persevered and stuff like that. Even though maybe nowadays the company have not be in the hand of Disney anymore, it's still great. The movies still do good and stuff like that. Now Disney owns everything basically, so I'm not here to hurt. What's what's that guy nowadays doing? I don't know, but the guy who tried to steal all his people. Warner Brothers is not as doing just as good as Disney is nowadays. Disney's on top. So him he proved them wrong. And even though he's now ashes in the ground, he's still proving them wrong. So the movie's okay. The actors did okay, but I would say I would give it about a 6 out of 10, because it's a really good movie. It's a good movie for people who want to learn about Disney's history before he became as big as he was. It would be a good movie if somebody wanted to use for his like a film or their biography. If they're doing like a writing paper for Disney. Be a good paper, like a movie to reference them for. So it's on Netflix, so you don't have to go and buy it. So That's where I found it at. And so, even though he turned a cat into a bad guy, Sully, you're not mad at Disney for doing that because Disney made everybody wants to be a cat, right? So you'll give it. He wants to play. Um, dude, you'll give it 3 paws. I would grab his third ball, but he wants to play right now. So that's it. See, he wants to play.